Hi, and welcome to Picardcast. As always, I'm Brooke, and I'm joined by the wonderful co-host. Well, not the wonderful, my wonderful co-host. I don't know why I said that. That's fine. Rebecca!
Hi there. I didn't know I was the co-host.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just a co-host. I'm your co-host.
Well, yeah, because that would make me the host, and that's not right, because we switch up. But I think
True.
I was going to, say something that I've already said before, like the co-hostess with the mostest or something. But some days some days I don't have new things to say. So, how have you been since last week?
Oh, I've been really great. So much has happened since
Or 2
last
weeks
week.
ago.
That's right. 2 weeks ago we recorded, and now it's 2 weeks later, 14 days. So many things to talk about.
I think that's believable.
Yeah, sure. It's totally believable.
And we are returning with our guest, Steve Farshid. Yay!
Yay! Yeah.
Because we're doing part 2.
Yeah. How was your guys' trip? I went to New Zealand for 2 weeks, and now I'm back to record. Yeah. It was amazing.
Well, we appreciate you coming back to record with us, because the time difference probably would have been too much for us.
Well, there was actually an opportunity to stay for another week or so, completely expense free and all that. And I said, no, I got to get back to record Picardcast. So I hopped on the next available plane, and 16 and a half hours later, I landed, and here I am.
That is an amazing story, because I don't think I could have gotten through any of that without laughing.
It was a good trip. Thanks for having me back.
Anyway, so like I said, we're doing part 2. If you didn't listen to our last episode, we did part 1 of Year of Hell, which is why I'm not asking Stephen why he picked this one, because we've already gone through that. Most of the things are the same. This time it was directed by Mike Voyager. I don't know how you say that. Sorry, Mike. As opposed to whoever did the other one, because I didn't type it, so I don't remember.
I think it was Alan Croker was the last one.
Yeah.
Which I also guessed on the pronunciation of that last name, too.
That's all right. Anyway, so it's same writers, just a different director. This synopsis, it says, with Voyager almost destroyed, Captain Janeway risks everything to rescue Paris and Chakotay and stop Anorax from continuing to tamper with the timeline. And it's so funny, because I want to always write Paris when I put his name, but then I do Tom, and I think I actually wrote Paris somewhere, but it's just weird.
I got a quick question, since you guys are probably bigger cinephiles than I am, but why is it when they have a 2-parter they would have 2 separate directors? What is the benefit from that? What's the rationale behind that?
I don't know.
Could it come down to schedules, timing? Maybe they didn't really love the job the first guy did. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if that was a particular choice, or if they just had 2 different directors lined up.
Maybe. Well, like I know with Doctor Who, at least with the new series of Doctor Who, they are most of the time the 2-parters are done by the same person. At least all the 2-parters that Rachel Talalay has done.
Well, to me,
she's the one I care about the most.
That's what would make more sense. I mean, that way you can actually film scenes out of sequence and save time on makeup, and you know what I mean? Like, okay, well, there's a scene where, Janeway has a scar on her face, and, it's going to happen 3 different times, and, well, let's just do all the Janeway scar shots now. You know what I mean? I just don't, I don't know. There's got to be a reason for it. And I see it happen way too often. there's got to be something. I don't know. I would think the entire story would be told by the same person and a more like fluid story. But I mean, obviously, I don't see much of a difference in the episodes. But I was just curious.
I don't know if a lot of them just want to hire as many different people as they can. I mean, different as in, more of their friends or whatever. I mean, I'm only saying that because this was done in the 90s, so that was a definite thing. But, with something like Star Trek, for sure, like, there would be a lot of people, I think, that would be interested in doing work on it, so they probably have a lot of interest from a lot of different people, and if they get somebody new in there, they can bring them back if they do a good job or whatever, I guess.
Makes sense.
I don't know. We don't speak for CBS Studios or Paramount or any of the other companies.
Yeah, really.
But
or UPN.
yeah. But if they'd like to give us money, I mean, maybe we could. I'm always trying to get money from people who aren't listening.
Somebody sponsor us.
You don't know they're not listening.
I guess that's true. All right, so beginning of the episode, it's got the recap, so we know what happened last episode. My cursory research determined that they came out on the same night, so I have the recap. I don't know, I guess for later airings, I don't know. And it may not have aired if they were all together as one. Anyway, so the first scene, we have a captain's log, and I'm always so excited about a star date. This is, I think, the first star date I've had in a while. It's day 133 is what it has on the screen. Captain's log star date 51425.4, and that's Saturday, July 6th, 2374. It's about 7:40 p.m. And that's Eastern. Whenever we do this on it, it has it as Eastern time is what it comes up as. The Voyager ship is hiding in a Class 9 nebula, trying to stay away from the Krenim ship. We see Janeway and Kim. They're wearing these primitive-looking, like, air masks, gas mask things, and they're trying to fix, like, a panel on the deck. They're doing something. I just thought it was really kind of funny because I would feel like if they're that far in the future and they have some crazy things, like, would they really actually need a mask that has a tube to something that gives them air? Or, it just seems like to me like 300 years in the future that they would have something more interesting.
I think one of the things about Star Trek, and especially the Federation, is that there's always a backup and then a secondary backup. So, like, of course, the ship itself, keeps them alive. But if the ship should fail, the backup would be, like, the environmental suits, which run on a separate system. And then if those are not needed or if those fail, well, you've got these guys, which is almost like having, like, it is very primitive, like, when you think about it's Star Trek time, but it's also separate from the ship system. So even if the ship couldn't support life, they could still in some way get air and oxygen. So maybe that's why they're sort of just using that, like, backup to the backup system to fix the nebula, to fix the deck they were on.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. It just looked hilarious to me.
No, I agree. It's definitely very it looks more our time than their time.
Mm-hmm. On the bridge, the doctor is following Janeway, and he's demanding her to get some medical attention because her and Kim spent 12 minutes on that deck, even though he told them not to. He said maybe 8. And so they both inhaled some of this gas that was in there. He's gotten some medical attention, but, the doctor's like, you need to go and get better. And she, of course, in Janeway fashion, is just like, I got work to do. Why don't you just hit me up with that hypo spray or whatever, trioxin. That's what she wanted, so that she could keep working, because B'Elanna's up there, working on something, and they're in the middle of a destroyed ship, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. So she's just like, I need to focus here. He's just kind of like, okay, whatever. But I just love it because he's just really exasperated, and it's so funny because I have to, like, step back every once in a while and be like, oh yeah, he's a hologram. because he doesn't act like you would expect a hologram to. So we have our intro after that, and then we see the scruffy Chakotay awoken in a cell. He's let out. Then we see Anorax. He's seated at this table. There's food everywhere, and the door opens. Chakotay walks in, but he's been cleaned up, and he's asking about Tom, and we find out it's been 2 months since they've been on the ship. They lead in Tom, who's also cleaned up, and Anorax suggests they sit down and eat, and I just have this vision of, like, when Dorothy and her friends show up at Oz, how they do, like, scrub here, in the movie, scrub there. Like, there's, like, a thing like that where they pulled them out of, like,
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's canon, everybody. That's exactly how it went on the ship. That's exactly how it is.
I see. If we had seen this as a whole season arc, we would have gotten that with the song and everything.
That was definitely the major fallout from it just being a two episode. You're right.
Get some more stuffing put in you, whatever. It just tickled me so much. I'm sorry. Anyway, so Anorax wants to, like, strike a deal with our Federation guys here. He's like, I can get you home if you can help me out by answering some questions. And it seems like the questions that he is asking is because he hasn't found Voyager. Like, Tom points this out. He's like, I think if you'd found Voyager, you would have already taken care of it. But I bet you haven't, and that's why you're asking us all these questions.
Yeah, can we also talk about Tom's casual shirt? He's got, like, one too many buttons unbuttoned on that shirt. He's having a real good time in his casual clothes.
It's like there's not even actual, like, buttons. But that's something that I didn't put in the notes, is that when Chakotay, like, asks about Tom, Anorax is all like, did he say he's amorous? Like, I don't think he says he's amorous, but he says something about Tom like that. And it's like, oh God. Of course. Anyway, so Anorax, they've got all this food he's telling them to eat, and he says that these are all from civilizations that no longer exist because, they've erased them or destroyed them with their time ray. I don't know what else to call it.
I think it's really unusual to not get a reaction from Chakotay here because, I mean, he's an anthropologist and he loves, study of people and culture. And this is like, it's a huge display of just the audacity and atrocities that Space Red has committed here. And by eliminating these
Space
species,
Red.
I can only call them Space Red. But I mean, just having like these glasses of wine that from civilization didn't exist. And yeah, I know that kind of goes along with the fact that he eventually like falls for Space Red's antics. Just gets wrapped up in it, but at the same time, I feel like it's a little strange how Chakotay didn't react with a little bit more of a disgust here from this guy,
Valid point.
Yeah, do you think if maybe they had put that in there, they would have not had a reason for him to drink the Kool-Aid, as I say later on?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, I guess, like, it wouldn't have made sense in too short of a period of time, because, within 20 minutes of this scene, Chakotay's talking about, oh, well, let's do this, and like just really like all of a sudden becoming a protege. So yeah, you're right. There probably wasn't enough time to make that transition, but I don't know. I just thought it was a little out of characteristic for Chakotay to just go right into like enjoying the decadence of these completely erased cultures.
He's like, you know what? The white man did that to my people too. Sorry.
You're not wrong though.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I just didn't want it to come off as a joke because it's not. So as you said, that he just sort of jumps right in here. Chakotay's like, okay, all right, we can help you out as long as we can make Voyager back the way it was and that nobody's hurt. That's cool with me. Someone comes and gets Tom, escorts him out. Then we have Anorax and Chakotay kind of